When I was 4 years old, my mom enrolled me in a daycare. I didn't understand. It was far from our house. None of my friends went there, and from the very first day, I felt like I didn't belong. I was the only non-white kid in the entire class. The teachers smiled too tightly. The other kids whispered too much, and my mom insisted this daycare was special. She said it was the best in the city. She said I'd make better friends. She said the other daycares didn't have the structure I needed. I didn't know what any of that meant. I just knew that I missed my old neighborhood. At first, the days were just lonely. Other kids didn't want to sit next to me. They made fun of my hair. They said my lunch smelled weird. They called me names I didn't understand, but knew weren't nice. The teacher didn't stop them. Sometimes she even smiled when they said it. She was a tall, thin woman with gray eyes and pressed shirts. She always smelled like lemon, and so her real name was Patricia, but the kids called her Mrs. Grinch. And at first I thought it was just because she was mean, but I didn't know how cruel people could be. At a month into daycare, things changed. Mrs. Grinch pulled me into the bathroom one morning. She closed the door. She poured something from a big white bottle into the toilet. It fizzed and steamed. She told me I was dirty. She said I had to clean it with my hands. She didn't give me gloves, just told me to reach in and scrub. I cried. I said it hurt. She grabbed my hand and shoved it harder against the bowl. My skin burned instantly. It felt like fire. She told me to stop screaming or I'd scare the good kids. When I left the bathroom, my hands were red and raw steam still rising from my fingers. My skin looked wrong, like it didn't belong to me anymore. I showed my mom that night. She said I'd pressed too hard with crayons. She gave me lotion and said I was dramatic. She didn't ask any questions. She didn't call the daycare, and the next day she drove me back without hesitation. That was the beginning. The bathroom became my punishment room. Bleach turned into other bottles. Some had pictures of skulls on them. Some made me cough. Just being near them, my hands peeled, then bled, then swelled so much I couldn't close my fists. And still my mom said it was dry skin. She switched lotions, bought heavier creams, blamed the weather, blamed me. Never once blamed the daycare. Never once stopped taking me there. After Thanksgiving, it got worse. Mrs. Grinch's husband didn't come to her family dinner. She was angry. She took it out on me. Lunchtime became bathroom time too. She'd make me scrub while the other kids ate. Sometimes she left the door open so they could watch, so they could laugh. One girl didn't laugh. Her name was Emma. She had curly hair and freckles and soft eyes. She tried to help me. Once tried to hand me a paper towel. Mrs. Grinch slapped it from her hand. She said this was my people's work. Emma looked confused and scared, but she didn't laugh. After that, her parents noticed something was wrong. They started taking pictures of my hands when I played at their house. Her mom asked gentle questions, but my answers didn't make sense. I was 4. I didn't have the words. The daycare got inspected once. I found out later the inspector was Mrs. Grinch's husband. He walked through fast, didn't open any closets, didn't ask any real questions. He looked me in the eye and said, "Keep your hands in your pockets, kid." That night, Mrs. Grinch was even worse. She made me scrub the bathroom 3 times, used a new bottle with red writing. I got dizzy from the smell. I threw up. She didn't stop. She locked the door, told me this was what I deserved. My hands were meat by then, raw red meat. Emma cried when she saw me. Her mom kept taking pictures. My mom didn't flinch. She looked bored when they showed her. She said my skin was just sensitive. She said some kids bruise easier. One day while I was scrubbing, Mrs. Grinch started talking about my mom. She said she didn't know her place. She said secrets were dangerous. She said betrayal leaves scars. She didn't make sense, but I remembered every word. She said my mom was stupid enough to believe promises, that late nights had consequences, that every burn was for her, that every bottle I touched was another lie burned clean, that I was paying for someone else's sin. I was too young to understand the full meaning, but I understood pain and punishment and shame, and I understood that someone hated me very much even if I hadn't done anything wrong. That week I hid my teddy bear behind the bathroom sink. It was a gift from my cousin Aisha. She was 16 and loud and brave. She visited once and saw my hands and went completely silent. Then she asked if she could borrow my bear. She returned it with a new button on the belly. It was a recorder. I didn't understand then. I just knew that she hugged me tighter than anyone ever had. She started picking me up from daycare sometimes, said she wanted to help, said she had my back. She told my mom she wanted to babysit. My mom said fine, but only if she paid. So Aisha paid with her part-time job money. Every week, she listened to hours of audio from the teddy bear. She heard the slaps, the screams, the chemical spills. She brought me bandages and snacks and more hugs, always more hugs. One night my mom got home late, said she forgot something at the daycare, dragged me back in the car. I thought we were picking up my jacket, but when we got there she told me to wait in the hallway. I followed her anyway. She walked into the back room, and I saw her in the arms of the inspector, Mrs. Grinch's husband. He held her like he loved her, and she cried into his shoulder just a little longer. She Whispered, "She can't know yet. Patricia can't find out about us." My mom turned and saw me. Her face went white. She said nothing on the ride home, made pancakes the next morning like nothing happened, dropped me off as usual and drove away without looking back. That day Mrs. Grinch was already waiting, smiling wide, too wide. She didn't wait for lunch. She lined up 3 bottles on the counter, told me to clean everything. The smell hit me first, then the burn. I threw up. She didn't care. She made me keep going. Locked the door again, said it was her class, her rules, that I was hers to fix. My hands peeled in sheets, blisters open, my knuckles split. Emma walked by and saw me. She almost screamed. Her mom came that afternoon. She saw my hands, took more photos, whispered that she'd handle it. Mrs. Grinch started ranting louder in the staff room, called my mom a traitor, said secrets rot from the inside out. She was unraveling. My mom barely looked me in the eye anymore. She dropped me off like I was a package, then drove off fast. Emma's parents started showing up more. Emma's dad watched everything. He took notes, asked questions, looked angry. I kept hiding the teddy bear, hoping it was still recording, hoping someone would listen. Then one morning it happened. Mrs. Grinch spilled something on her own hands. She screamed. The chemicals ate her skin instantly. Blisters rose. She pushed me aside, ran to the sink. An assistant walked in and saw everything, me on the floor, my destroyed hands, Mrs. Grinch howling, the air thick with fumes. Emma's mom arrived moments later. She live-streamed the scene. Emergency services came, firemen in masks, paramedics in gloves. They tried to treat her. She insisted it was overblown. She said it was an accident. My mom showed up too, acted shocked, played concerned, but I saw something else in her eyes. Relief, real relief, like a curse had been lifted. At home she cried, said she was sorry, but never said for what, just kept saying she didn't know what else to do. The next morning Aisha arrived. Furious, eyes red, voice shaking. She scooped me up without asking, packed my bag, told my mom she wasn't playing anymore. Mom screamed, said Aisha was kidnapping me. Aisha locked the door and called Grandma. She held me for hours, washed my hands with warm cloths, whispered over and over, "You're safe now, you're safe now, you're safe now." At Aisha's apartment, everything was different. The walls were bright, the windows open, the air smelled like cinnamon and something soft. She didn't ask too many questions at first. She just brought me warm soup and wrapped my hands in gauze. She let me sleep with the lights on. She gave me space, but she also gave me love, the kind that didn't come with conditions or secrets, the kind that let me breathe. She called in favors from her college friends. One of them was studying nursing. She came by with ointments and medical tape. She looked at my hands and blinked fast to stop from crying. She treated me carefully with gloves and compassion. Every touch was gentle, every word soft. For the first time in months, I felt human, not a punishment, not a burden. A child. My mom called the next day. She screamed through the phone, said Aisha was kidnapping me, said she was reporting her, said she was ruining everything. Aisha recorded the whole call, then she hung up and hugged me tighter. She said she wasn't scared. She said we had truth on our side. Emma's parents came to visit. They brought food and books and stuffed animals. Emma sat beside me and held my good hand. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. Her presence was enough. Her mom brought the photos she'd taken. Her dad brought copies of the live stream. They gave everything to Aisha, said they wanted to help, said they believed us, said they weren't backing down. Aisha started printing out everything, transcripts from the teddy bear, audio, images of my hands before and after. She even compiled medical notes from the nursing student. She built a case, page by page, file by file. It grew until the table couldn't hold it all. She said we weren't just going to survive, we were going to fight back. My mom tried again. This time she brought fake documents, said she was taking me back, said she had full custody. Aisha called the police. They came fast. They recognized her voice from the earlier calls, told her to leave or face charges. She left screaming, said we'd regret this, said we didn't understand the deal. Aisha stared after her, then looked at me and said, "You are not a deal, you are not a trade, you are mine now, and I'm never letting them hurt you again." She dug deeper, listened to every second of every teddy bear recording, found names, patterns, references to other kids' families that had left quietly, some that had stopped showing up altogether, all of them non-white. All of them with similar stories. One name stood out, Danny, a mother who'd pulled her daughter out a year ago. No explanation, no fight, just gone. Aisha tracked her down through social media, sent a message. 2 days later, Danny called back. She sounded cautious, afraid, but when she heard Aisha's voice, she broke down. She said her daughter had burns too, said she'd gone to the hospital twice, said she'd taken hush money because she didn't think anyone would believe her, said she'd been told it was just an accident, that maybe her daughter was too sensitive, that maybe she was imagining it. Aisha told her she wasn't, and Danny started crying again. After that, Aisha shifted. She stopped focusing on lawyers, started focusing on truth. She made flyers, not dramatic, not emotional, just facts: enrollment numbers, cleaning supply receipts, inspection schedules, photos of chemicals with warning labels, pictures of me, of my hands, of Emma holding my arm gently. We passed them out early in the morning before the sun rose. Mailboxes, windshields, doorsteps, every house near the daycare, every car in the parking lot, every hallway in nearby schools. By noon, people were talking. By afternoon, parents were pulling kids out. Emma's mom stood outside the daycare with a poster. She held up pictures and whispered quietly to every parent who approached. Some turned around and left immediately. Others asked questions. One mom said her child had strange rashes. Another said her son started refusing to use the bathroom. One said her daughter screamed at the smell of lemon. More started coming forward. Mrs. Grinch called an emergency meeting, said people were spreading lies, said we were trying to destroy her reputation. She blamed stress, blamed the children, said some kids just bruised easy, said some families were jealous, said I was a troubled child with unstable relatives. Emma's dad stood up in the middle of the meeting, held up a photo of my hands, asked her to explain the skull and crossbones bottle found in the children's bathroom. She stammered, said it wasn't used, said it was just for maintenance, but she couldn't explain why it was open, why it was on the sink, why there were fingerprints on the cap. Then Mr. Grinch showed up. He tried to defend her, said the inspections were valid, said the children were safe, said everything was overblown. Someone recognized him, said he was the inspector, that he'd cleared his own wife's facility. The room went silent, then chaotic, parents shouting, asking for refunds, demanding to see the bathroom. Mrs. Grinch refused, said it was a private space, said they had no right. Emma's mom already had photos. She passed them around. The bottle, the fumes, the burns. No one believed Patricia. After that, enrollment plummeted. Half the kids were gone in a week. The other half soon followed. The daycare couldn't survive. Mrs. Grinch ranted online, said it was all conspiracy, said we'd ruined her, called us liars, said we were reverse racists, said we'd manipulated the media. No one listened. They'd seen too much. My mom tried again, showed up at Aisha's door with new threats. This time, she brought a man, said he was her lawyer. He wasn't. Aisha called campus security. They were escorted off the property. That night, every phone in the apartment rang, calls from blocked numbers, voicemails with static and whispers, texts that said things like, you'll pay for this, you think you won, you don't know what you've done. Aisha recorded everything. She called our grandmother, told her everything. Grandma came 2 days later, walked into the apartment and saw my hands. She gasped, then she hugged me so tightly I couldn't breathe. Then she turned on my mom like a hurricane. She called her daughter a coward, a traitor, a fool. She said no man was worth this, no affair worth a child suffering. My mom finally cracked. She confessed everything, said Mr. Grinch had promised to leave Patricia, said he wanted proof she was loyal, said letting me stay in the daycare was the test, said every day I went back she was proving her love to him, said she thought it would stop, that it wouldn't be that bad, that maybe it was just tough love. She looked at me and cried, said she was sorry. But I didn't feel sorry for her. I felt nothing, just empty. Aisha filed for permanent guardianship that week. My mom signed the papers, maybe from guilt, maybe from shame, maybe because she knew she'd lost. Mr. Grinch left town quietly. His marriage destroyed, his job gone, his name in ruins. Mrs. Grinch tried to rebrand, changed her last name, applied at schools in other towns. Aisha made sure it didn't work. Every time she applied, a package arrived, photos, audio clips, transcripts. Aisha sent them all to principals, to HR departments, to school boards. Mrs. Grinch became unemployable. She tried opening her own business. It failed within a month because parents talk, because Emma's mom kept sharing the live stream, because truth spreads. Even when people try to bury it. My mom moved away too, didn't say goodbye, didn't write, didn't call. We packed up Aisha's apartment, moved into a new place, bigger, brighter, closer to my new school. Aisha decorated my room with purple walls and soft pillows. She filled it with books and art supplies. She let me choose the posters. One said, "You are not your scars," and for the first time I believed it. Kindergarten was a fresh start. Aisha made sure of that. She researched every school within 50 miles, visited classrooms, interviewed teachers, asked what kind of soap they used, what brand of gloves, what kind of janitorial oversight. She sat in the classroom the first week, pretended to help organize books. Really, she was watching, listening, protecting. My teacher's name was Mrs. Danny. She had soft hands and never asked about my scars. She never made me feel different. She let me use pencils with grips, let me draw during writing assignments. She called me clever and kind and full of light. Emma was in my class too. We sat next to each other every day. She helped me zip my jacket. I helped her remember her lunchbox. We were a team. We were safe. Healing took time. Aisha took me to therapy twice a week. My therapist's name was Dr. Alexandra. She had calm eyes and a couch with purple pillows. She didn't ask me to talk at first. She just let me color, let me sit in silence, let me find my way back slowly. I began speaking, then drawing, then telling stories, real ones, hard ones. She never interrupted, never pushed. She just listened, and in her silence, I found comfort. My hands began to heal. The skin grew back scarred, but whole. The blisters faded, the open wounds closed. I could hold a crayon again, then a pencil, then a fork, without pain. Tying shoes was hard, so were buttons, but Aisha bought me stretchy clothes and special laces. She never made me feel broken. She called my scars lace gloves, said they made me look brave, and I started to believe her. When I turned 7, Aisha threw me a party, just us, and a few friends from class. Emma brought cupcakes. Dr. Alexandra came with a puzzle. Even Mrs. Danny stopped by to drop off a card. It was the first time I felt truly celebrated, not pitted, not handled, but loved. Aisha graduated that spring. She walked across the stage in a maroon gown. I sat in the front row with Grandma. We clapped and cheered, and afterward she knelt down in her cap and whispered, "I did this for you. You made me strong enough." She got a job at a non-profit for children's rights, said she was going to make sure no other kid ever went through what I did. She worked long hours, but always made it home for dinner, always checked my homework, always read bedtime stories. She became everything a parent should be. One day we got a birthday card from my mom. It arrived with no return address. Inside was a short note. It said she was sorry. That was all. I threw it away. I didn't cry, I didn't shake, I just let it go. Emma's mom kept in touch. She helped Aisha distribute information anytime Patricia tried to resurface. Because she did multiple times, she changed her name, moved towns, applied for jobs with kids. Each time Aisha sent out packages, photos, medical records, testimonies. Each time she got denied, one principal called Aisha and said thank you. We almost hired her by 4th grade. My hands were pale with scars. They didn't hurt anymore unless it was winter, unless I was anxious. Sometimes I'd catch kids staring. I'd say it was an accident. They'd nod and move on, but one boy asked more. He said he thought my hands looked cool, like I survived something. I smiled and said I did. Middle school was harder. Different kids knew bullies. Some asked if I'd been in a fire. Some said I was cursed. But I had Emma, and I had Aisha, and I had armor built from pain. I joined the school newspaper, started writing short pieces at first, then essays, then features. I wrote about healing, about resilience, about small voices that carried big stories. Teachers noticed, encouraged me, pushed me. In 8th grade, I gave a speech at assembly about finding light in dark places. I didn't say what happened, but everyone knew, and for the first time no one laughed. They stood and clapped, and I cried behind the podium because I had taken the pain and turned it into purpose. High school came fast. Dating was awkward. Holding hands wasn't easy. Physical contact made me flinch, but I told the truth. I explained gently. Some walked away, some stayed. One boy held my hand with both of his, said I was the bravest person he'd ever met. We didn't last, but I never forgot his kindness. Aisha was at every event, every concert, every award night. She made signs, she made snacks, she made sure I always had someone in the crowd. When I was 16, she let me see the old files, the recordings from the bear, the transcripts, the photos. She said I had the right to know. I stayed up all night listening, not crying, just remembering, validating, realizing that it wasn't just a nightmare, it was truth. It happened, and I survived. I chose to tell my story publicly. In my senior year for a journalism project, I changed names, but kept the facts. The school counselor read it and asked if she could share it with others. I said yes, and it spread quietly, powerfully. I got emails from students across the state. Some thanked me, some shared their own pain, some just said, "Now I don't feel alone." Aisha cried when she read the piece, said she was proud, said I'd done more than survive. I'd grown, I'd healed, I'd built something new. College was next. I picked a school 3 hours away, close enough to visit, far enough to grow. Aisha helped me pack. She cried in the parking lot, said letting go was the hardest thing she'd ever done, but she never really let go. She called every Sunday, mailed care packages, sent me playlists for study nights. I majored in social work. Everyone said it made sense, that I was made for it. I believed them. I joined a survivor support group, led workshops, wrote articles, became a mentor, helped younger girls find their voices. Sophomore year, I met a professor who changed everything. She said I had a gift for advocacy. She offered me an internship at a children's legal center. I took it. Every case was hard. Every child reminded me of someone, but I stayed because I knew how much it mattered, because I had been that child. One day, I was assigned a case with a girl named Lily, 3 years old, chemical burns on her hands, same daycare patterns, same denial from staff, same silence. I saw the signs, I spoke up, I filed every report Aisha ever taught me. I gathered witnesses, talked to doctors, built a timeline, and we saved her. Her aunt cried in court, hugged me, and said your scars saved her. She was right. Junior year, Aisha got promoted director of child protection initiatives. She gave a speech at a national conference. She told my story with my permission. The room gave her a standing ovation. Afterward, people asked her what made her fight so hard. She said, because no one fought for her until it was almost too late, and I will never let that happen again. Senior year, I got a letter. Patricia Grinch had died, heart attack, alone in a small apartment in another state. No family listed, no funeral planned, just a line in the obituary. I felt nothing then, maybe a little pity, because she spent her life hurting others and died with no one. Meanwhile, I was surrounded by people who loved me, people I chose, people who chose me back. Graduation came. I wore white gloves under my gown, not to hide, but to honor. Aisha sat in the front row with Grandma. Emma was there too. Still my best friend, still my sister in soul. I walked across the stage with tears in my eyes, not because of the pain, but because I never thought I'd get here. But I did. We did. I took a job at a children's advocacy center, started my own support group for survivors, began working on a book. One day at dinner, Aisha said, you know, I still think about the first time I saw your hands, how they were shaking and swollen, how you looked at me like I was your last hope, and you were. I said you were mine too, and that's the truth. We saved each other, we chose each other, we built a new life. My scars are still here, they always will be. They ache in winter, burn when I'm anxious, remind me of where I came from, but they are not shame, they are memory, they are proof, they are power, they are mine, and now I use them to reach others, to say you are not alone, you are not weak, you are not the pain done to you, you are what comes after, you are the light that burns through silence, you are healing, you are here, and that is everything.